Love is more than just a game for two. Two in love can make it. Take my heart and please don't break it. Love was made for me and you.
I'm getting nothing from the camera. Hey, welcome to WBGR Sports Network and the Tom the Bomb Sports Talk Show. And this is the day that the Lord has made. We will rejoice and be glad in it. If you don't think it's a great day, just try missing one. And we, L-O-V-E, love sports. On the Tom the Bomb Show, I'm your host, Tommy Wood. Got another fantastic show for you today. Hey, our guest host today is Troy Wood. We got guests. We're going to have Felix Bass. He's going to come in and talk to us about some NHL playoffs. And then later on, we got comedian Coy going to come in and talk with us about boxing. So we got a full show for you guys today. As usual, we want to thank God for everything He's doing for us in the new year. Remember, this is the year of fixed purpose, where you have to keep your eye on the prize. And the prize, what's the prize? The prize is the Word. And that's what will allow you to ignore the daily distractions. Because that's all the enemy's trying to do, is he's trying to get you off the Word, because he knows the Word works. So his trick is to get you to stop working the Word. And we are not going to do that, because we are going to have a fixed purpose this whole year out, and we are going to get the results that we want, to have the victory that we want in our lives. Hey, we got poll questions today. Hey, our poll question is, they've announced the 2024 Olympic basketball team. So quite natural, this kind of came up in some discussions. Which team do you like better? The original Dream Team with Jordan and Bird and Magic, or this year's 2024 Olympic team? Troy, what's your thoughts on that? That's a good-looking 2024 Olympic team we got there. What's your thoughts against the original Dream Team, Troy?
Call ended.
Oh, man. Just lost Troy. Let's get him back. There we go. Okay, Troy, you there?
Yo, I'm here.
My bad. I hung up. I promise I didn't do it on purpose. What's your thoughts on the poll question with the original Dream Team versus the 2024 Olympic team?
It's a lot of stars on both sides. It's just this year's team is so many guys that are like at the tail end of their career, that if this was about 5 years ago, that's different. But, against the best Olympic team ever assembled, I don't think that they would beat them.
So you like the original Dream Team?
Yeah, I said if I go the other way, I set myself up to get, ridiculed. So I'm just going to keep my
Well,
mouth
hey,
shut.
man, if you look at that's a really, really good-looking team, man. I mean, if this team don't come back with gold, U.S. ain't never going to win gold if they don't win with this team.
Well, I mean, it is what it is. But like I said, the majority of the guys on that team are surpassing 30. They got some young guns on that team like Anthony Edwards and, so on and so forth. But that's still Steph Curry and LeBron James' team.
Exactly.
And with both of them being over 35, Bron's about to be 40 this year. It's just one of the things where it's like, the matchup is still be a great matchup. Don't get me wrong. Still got Kevin Durant. Still got Anthony Davis. If Joel Embiid was healthy, you got a big man presence and you got Bam Adebayo. So it is talent on our side. But, let everybody else tell it that's over the age of 40. The big three in Bird, Magic, and Johnson, they take on God himself and, give him a 7-game series. So with that being said, I'm just going to stick with the old guns and the old 90s Dream Team. Because of all the history that team and those players have, accomplished.
Okay, well, alrighty. Well, also, the NBA 2024 MVP finalists have been announced. And just like we talked about last week, we have the Joker. Come on, help me out with Shea Gilgeous.
Hey, Gilgeous-Alexander.
I don't know why I have trouble with that name. He's kind of like Giannis, And then Luka. That sound about right for you? Top three?
Yeah, about right. One thing I want to say before we get deeper into that is, I feel like Jason Tatum should be on that list, especially considering his role in having the Celtics healthily ahead of the number 2 seed in the East. It's just when you have to sit your stars, with 8 minutes left in the fourth quarter every game, the stats don't really line up the way that they possibly could be. A lot of people don't get that he didn't even play a lot of the fourth quarter games because they were up by 30 going in the fourth quarter majority of the time. So with that being said, I think Jason Tatum is a good honorable mention, but we can get into it.
Well, I think Jalen Brunson should be on that list, man. I mean, this guy, the Knicks haven't won over 50 games in probably 20 years, man. And
that's just a sign of. Oh, go ahead, I'm listening.
well, and this small size point guard, this guy's averaging close to 25 points a game. The improvement that he's brung to that team on his own, and the big thing is he's not supposed to be the number one player on that team, but that's where he's moved to. And I think Jalen Brunson should be there. What's your thoughts on Jalen?
Jalen's not bad. There's no knock on Jalen. Like you said, he's averaging close to 30 points a game. But it's the Derrick Rose treatment. Tom Thibodeau overworks his star point guard, and we've seen that for the past 10 years. So when you play 35-plus minutes, when you get all those shot opportunities, when you run as much pick and roll, and when you have as much wear and tear on your body, you better have stats to back it up. And like I said, there's no knock to Jalen Brunson because Jalen Brunson is great, but there's no way he's in the MVP conversation. I can name 5 guys this year alone, not just from an overall body of work, but just this year alone, that are better candidates for MVP than Jalen Brunson.
Really?
But
You think?
it is what it is.
You know what? I'd be interested to hear 5 people that you think could play at a better year than Jalen Brunson.
I just named 4 of them. You got Jokic. You got not Giannis. You got Luka. You got Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. We're not even talking about Jason Tatum, and then we still not talking about Joel Embiid. Quite honestly, because before he got hurt, that was the MVP of this year.
Before he got hurt, I agree.
Exactly. But my point is that, like I said, that's just 5. If I wanted to, I could say LeBron had a better year than this dude this past year. And that's not really a stretch to say. I'm just keeping LeBron's name out my mouth because I know how that's going to get taken. But, if we being truthful here, like I said, I can name about a few more guys before I get to Jalen Brunson. And there's no knock on Jalen Brunson. And until the Knicks and Jalen Brunson do something that's worthy in the playoffs, I don't even want to hear that.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and then we also have the NBA 2024 Rookie of the Year finalists, which of course is Wemby, Chet Holmgren, and then the kid from Houston. Can't think of his name. Played at Alabama last year. He's one of fine. I think this is a lay down for Wemby. What do you think?
Well, yeah, and here's the thing: it's been a 1-2 race ever since the season started. It's been between the 2 tall twigs and Wemby and Chet Holmgren. Now, I love Wemby. Wemby, his defensive presence, the stats that he's putting up and his ability to stretch the floor is amazing. But the thing I love about Wemby is that his organization is giving him the green light to play, as opposed to just being that typical big man that from 15
Rookie of the Year. I'm not getting any picture.
He really plays point guard for them at times. He takes guys off the dribble in ISO situations a lot to be that tall. So I do think that Victor's going to win it. But Chet has played great. It's a shame that last year people don't know. A lot of people don't know. That he got drafted last year, but was hurt the entire season. So really in his defense, I think that he could have been Rookie of the Year last year, but he didn't play. This year, it's a lot of players on that team that make up the nucleus on why OKC is the number 1 seed. But with that being said, Chet is one of them guys where, like Wemby, he's tall, he can block shots, he's a pretty good rebounder, he can shoot, and he just has like a young generation vibe to him. Where even though I'm that big and that tall, I do have a bag and a skill set. So. Even though, like I said, I like Chet and the guy from Alabama too, that's cool. But, this is Wemby's award.
Okay. Hey, gang, what are we watching tonight? Of course, we're watching the NBA playoffs. Starting off at 7 p.m. Eastern, we have Game 2 at 7 p.m. with the Magic versus the Cavaliers. Then we have Game 2 starting at 7:30, the 76ers versus the Knicks. And then at 10 p.m., we got Nat Wood, LA Fakers versus the Denver Nuggets. So, hey, man, let's get right into it. Let's jump right into the NBA 2024 NBA playoffs. It's fantastic, man. I'm telling you, man, when the NBA playoffs start, man, these are the best athletes in the world. You better get your popcorn ready. And I am so thoroughly enjoying these playoff games, man, because number one, these guys are actually playing defense. And more importantly, the intensity level is so much greater, man. Like I say all the time, Troy, I can't take 168 versus 163. I don't want to see a basketball game like that, or like what we saw, God forbid, what we saw at the All-Star game. Now, granted, it ain't that bad, but I just don't want to see that, man. But these games over the weekend have been outstanding, man. That game last night was phenomenal, man. Look, you know what? Let's just get right into it. Look, the NBA playoffs tipped off this weekend as the Denver Nuggets look to become the first repeat champions since the 2017-2018 Golden State Warriors. They picked up right where they left off in the Western Conference a season ago, winning their fifth consecutive playoff game by downing Natwood LA Fakers. The East also features a rematch of last season's conference finalists, but this time it was the Boston Celtics dominating Game 1 against the Miami Heat after falling 3-0 last season. Now check this out, Troy. All 8 games were won by the home team. That's the first time that's happened since 2023. By the way, all the home games were also won by the home teams in the NHL and the hockey playoffs as well. Something to having home cooking, right? So let's talk about our first game, Troy, which would be the Cavaliers versus the Magic. The Cavaliers prevailed 97-83. Poor shooting cost the Magic in this game. Against the Cavaliers, the Magic shot 33% from the floor, Troy, and 63% from the free throw line. They had 15 points in the second quarter and 17 points in the third quarter, and they were 8 for 37 from the three-point line. The Magic backcourt of Suggs and Harris combined shooting for 4 for 22 from the field and 1 for 12 from the three-point line. How you gonna win a regular season game shooting like that, let alone a playoff game, Troy?
It's going to be pretty hard. It's just, Orlando's a very young team, so they're still, they are, 60. But with that being said, sorry, got that mixed up. But anyway, regardless though, they're middle of the pack. They're going to stay middle of the pack. It's a good learning experience for them. Good to have Paulo and Suggs get this experience and move on going forward. But the Cavs, Spider Mitchell and Jared Allen, Darius Garland, there's a bunch of guys on that team that have a little bit more whereabout in this particular scenario. Mm-hmm. And experience trumps youth in the playoffs. So definitely, I think that Orlando will at least win one game, maybe even 2. But I think the Cavs will win this by at least 6 games.
6 games, okay, man.
By the 6 games.
If they shoot like that, it's going to be over in 4. It's going to be a sweeper.
They're NBA players. They're not going to shoot that bad every game. It's not going to be like that.
I feel you. Okay, all right. Like I said, it was just poor shooting. Everybody has a bad night, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, our next game was the Phoenix Suns versus the Minnesota Timberwolves. And the Timberwolves opened up a can on the Suns, 120-95. Now, the Timberwolves' defense is more than just Rudy Gobert, anchored by the big man's interior defense. He controlled the paint, and he's on track to win his 4th NBA Defensive Player of the Year, Troy, in a 120-95 demolition of the Suns. It was the Minnesota's perimeter defense, though, that proved especially disruptive. Jaden McDaniels shut down Suns superstar Devin Booker and held him to just 18 points. Anytime you hold Book under 20, you done did something. McDaniels seemed to be everywhere, Troy. He challenged shots. He was disruptive in the passing lanes. He was cutting through screens intended to free up Suns guards for open looks. The overall physicality that the Timberwolves displayed was evident, and the Suns' dynamic backcourt seemed bothered by it. And this is what I'm talking about with playoff basketball. Come on, man. With Durant and Booker and the kid that came from Washington, man, that's a potent three-guard system, and the Timberwolves shut them down.
Well, One thing that I'll say is that having home court advantage, starting game one at home is very key because it sets the tone for the rest of the series, right?
Hmm.
But essentially what happens here is that it's not necessarily playoff basketball, it's just the overall hype of matchups. And the biggest matchup of this series, without a doubt, is Kevin Durant versus Anthony Edwards because Anthony Edwards looked up to Kevin Durant growing up. And, even though he's not necessarily the same build, he does have a lot of characteristics and play styles that Kevin Durant has. And when you see your star player who's under the age of 24, 25, getting in a guy's face like that after hitting the three and, setting the tone on defense and just showing emotion, what it does is that it rubs off on not only the players and the coaches on your team, but the fans in the stadium.
Hmm.
So, with that being said, because Minnesota has the full court, has the home court advantage against Phoenix, they're not going to sweep Phoenix. That's not going to happen. But they do have a little bit more spark. They just have to keep that same intensity and same energy every single game. Anthony Edwards is putting a target on his back, and it's a good target, right? But a lot of people are comparing him to a young 80s style Jordan before he got his rings, the intensity, the jumping ability, the ability to hit a mid-range jumper, just little things like they're comparing him to that, and now he has to uplift that expectation and exceed that because you can't do all that yapping and then lose this series. You got to be able to fight back. So I think because they have home court advantage, that's going to help them out.
Do you think? I think the Timberwolves can win this series. What do you think?
Of course they can, because like I said, they have home court advantage. Them being the number 3 seed
Well,
is key. In order for Phoenix to win this series, they need to win game two coming up. And I don't know if they can necessarily do that. Now, when they get back home in Phoenix, I expect them to at least win one game. But quite honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if they won both their games in Phoenix. Because winning in another stadium in the playoff atmosphere is really hard. But, Minnesota is not a fluke as to why they really could have been the number 1 seed. The number 1 seed came down to basically a coin flip at the end of the season. So Minnesota being in this position doesn't surprise me. They could win in the series.
Well, let me ask you this: if it was switched, and Phoenix was the 3 seed and Timberwolves were the 6 seed, I think I still like the Timberwolves in this series. Man, the lack of Phoenix defense and being big down low kind of bothers me with them moving forward. What's your thoughts on that?
Well, they don't really have that necessary presence down low. It's a lot of things you got to sacrifice to have the lineup that they have now. Yeah, Devin Booker, Bradley Beal, KD, they're great offensively, but there has to be some sort of trade-off for all that offensive power that you possess. And yet, from a matchup standpoint, even if Phoenix had the even if Phoenix had the home court advantage, it's one of the things where it's going to be tough for them to keep Minnesota under 100 points every single game. That's going to be a challenge for them. But I still do think, like I said, when the blood's pumping, when your adrenaline's rushed, when you feel the crowd, support you, it does naturally turn you and everybody else around you on your team up to another level. So I think that's the key factor. That's why I think Phoenix will win if they have the home court.
Okay, let's move on to our next game. Our next game was the Philadelphia 76ers versus the New York Knicks, and the Knicks prevailed 111 to 104. Embiid returns, but the 76ers can't rebound. If you can't dunk, then you're not healthy enough to be playing. But to me, it's a reminder of how insanely talented that Embiid is. At 75 to 80%, he's still better than any center in the NBA other than Jokic. The 76ers outscored the Knicks by 14 points when Embiid was on the court, and they were outscored by 21 points when Embiid was on the bench. What's your take, Troy?
Yeah, the plus minus tells the story. When they're on the court, forget the fact that that Philly is a high seed. If Embiid stays healthy, they're in that 2, 3, 4 conversation. Behind Boston. So with Embiid healthy, well, not healthy because he's not even healthy now, but with Embiid on the court, it at least gives them the upper hand to be the better team. Without him, it's the Tyrese Maxey show. And we were just talking about Tyrese Maxey yesterday. Dude can ball, but this is a team sport. The New York Knicks are the #1 offensive rebounding team in the entire NBA. And when your center has a hard time establishing position and keeping the same energy all 4 quarters because he's trying to play his way in shape, you need guards and everybody else around you, Tobias Harris and Nicholas Batum. You need them guys to get around 6 to 10 rebounds in a game. And if they don't do that, if they don't put a body on somebody and go back to the fundamentals of basketball of playing defense and boxing out, it's going to be a hard, series for them. So really, I don't really know where this series is going to go because, in my opinion, and in a lot of other people's opinion, it really all falls on the health of Joel Embiid. And if Joel Embiid is available, this series could go to 7 easily, and Philly will win in Game 7. If not, the Knicks will win this series in less than 5.
Well, the Knicks offensive rebounding. The Knicks offensive rebounding killed the 76ers. Mitchell Robinson and the Knicks were relentless on the offensive boards with 23 offensive board, which created an extra 10 shots for the Knicks, and they ended up winning the game by 7. So, man, they just killed them on the boards.
Yeah, except here's the thing: without those second chance points, the Knicks ain't really relevant. And this is the whole Tom Thibodeau effect. See, people got to understand when you have head coaches, they like to keep a certain strategy and game plan, no matter what era they're coaching in. This team that they have, in which they're the best offensive rebounding team in the NBA, wasn't a better offensive rebounding team than the Bulls teams that he had. Joakim Noah, Taj Gibson, Carlos Boozer would give Philly a nightmare if they were matched up. Against the Knicks right now. So, the Knicks, this is what they do. They're scrappy. They will give effort and try. And there's no knock on New York because, they've been down for a long time, but they will give you 100%. That's prerequisite. But it's just too much firepower on the other side when Embiid's on the court. So it just all depends to me.
All righty, look, let's move on to our next game. The LA Lakers versus the Denver Nuggets. The Lakers need to be better at the little things, Troy. In the second quarter, an upset seemed ripe for the picking for the visiting Lakers, who controlled the action from the tip and led by 8 points after the first quarter. LA extended it to 12 points with back-to-back layups by Anthony Davis and LeBron, leading 49-37. The Nuggets called timeout and came back with a 14-2 run to tie the game. By the third quarter, the Nuggets were up by double digits. The Lakers' self-inflicting wounds did them in, not boxing out. The Nuggets scored 18 points on second chance rebounds opportunities and scored 14 points off the Lakers' turnovers. The Nuggets have won 9 straight against Nat Wood's LA Lakers. What's your take on this one, Troy?
It's just a bad matchup. And here's the thing. That's what Jokic does. I've been talking about this consistently for the past 3 to 4 years, and even before this show started. It's just now the difference is that, Jokic is definitely about to win MVP this year, in my opinion. So he's about to be a 3-time MVP. He brings the ball up the court, and he's a matchup nightmare, excuse me. So it just makes it hard for the Lakers to match up against a guy that just naturally puts you in tough positions. The one thing that I think will help the Lakers actually win a game and hopefully make this series interesting is I think Rui Hachimura is the main matchup against Jokic. He has to be one of them guys where I'm not really doing anything on offense, but I'm going to give you 150% on defense. He has to turn into Matthew Dellavedova when he guarded Steph Curry in the finals. Matthew Dellavedova got his bag off of that one finals alone from showing effort and just harassing Steph and being able to hit a jumper when need be. That's exactly what Rui Hachimura has to be in this series. Every time Jokic comes up the court, he should be right on this jersey, right on this hip pocket. Get that big joker, literally big joker, tired and get him, exerting a lot of energy without the ball in his hands. The only thing about Jokic is that he's so smart that he knows how to affect the game without scoring. You have to keep him off the glass, and you can't let him catch the ball at the free throw line. If he catches the ball at the free throw line, you're dead because he can shoot it, he can pass it, he can take you off the dribble, and he can back you down. At that size and that skill set mentally, it's almost impossible for anybody to stop that. But I think, like I said, Rui Hachimura has to turn to Matthew Dellavedova for what he was for the Cavaliers and just be a pest on Jokic. If you frustrate or get Jokic into foul trouble, that's how you beat Nuggets. If not, yeah, see you later.
Well, Troy, I understand the strategy of not wanting to put Anthony Davis on him and get him in foul trouble, but Anthony Davis is one of the top 3-4 defensive players in all of the NBA. Why not just sell Anthony Davis out on Jokic and just,
Because-
everything that you're saying about Hachimura, I think they can get that from Anthony Davis because
Of course they can.
well, yesterday,
I'm sorry.
Murray and Jokic, this is one of the first times that they both scored 20-plus points with no turnovers. They got to shut one of those faucets off. Why not use Anthony Davis on him? That's my question.
Because what happens is that's a great question. It's not that Anthony Davis, and can't nobody guard Jokic. You can only contain Jokic. Anthony Davis will probably do the best job of containing Jokic out of anybody else on the team. But this is where we're playing chess as opposed to checkers. When you take your anchor out the paint, like I said, I talk to you about this often in a certain tone so that way you can get it. When you take Anthony Davis out the paint and have him guard Jokic, he knows that the anchor is 15, 20 feet away from the rim. So then what's going to happen is they are going to backdoor LA every single time. What Jokic and Aaron Gordon does is very reminiscent to how Draymond Green used to run the offense for the Warriors back when they were a dynasty. If you get on the perimeter and your big man is trying to slow me down 20 feet from the rim, I'm going to have 15-plus assists on you. And that's my whole point of Jokic affects the game without scoring. He can have 15 rebounds, 14 assists, 8 points, and still be a player of the game because he's making it so hard for a team to have to rematch that. If you take Anthony Davis and get him on the perimeter defensively, who's going to guard the paint? And that's all it is, So now we have to find a way to say, all right, we got to keep AD in the paint. We can't have Bron exerting this much energy for him to still get cooked. Someone else has to be that step-up guy. And this is where, in any sport we talk about, offense, sells tickets, defense wins championships, So this is where they have to find a way to contain and then turn defense into offense. They can't have only 8 points off of second chance opportunities. Jokic is going to get 8 of his 15 rebounds off the offensive glass alone. So you got to get a body on him, you got to harass him, and you got to make it your sole effort to just frustrate him and get him in foul trouble. That's the only way they have a chance. But it can't be Anthony Davis.
Last question. Does Nat Wood Lakers have any chance against these Denver Nuggets?
I'm not going to say that they don't because, here's the thing. It's only game one. And, and this is where, I purposefully tried to keep LeBron's name out my mouth as much as possible throughout this whole segment. But they still have LeBron James on that side. I've seen this man come back from a 3-1 deficit after Klay Thompson went on his post-game interview after game, 4, and was talking trash. And then I saw that man turn into a person that was the best person on the planet. He led both teams in points, rebounds, assists, blocks, steals. So in every major category, he led them. So with that man on that side, with it still being 1-0, there is still a shot. I'm not going to say it's no shot, but it's very slim. And this is where I was looking on TV earlier today. Guys were saying that they should have lost the game against the Pelicans so they could play the Kings and then play the Oklahoma City Thunder in the first round. But no matter what, you're still going to have to get past Jokic to get to the championship. So, why not do it in round 1 as opposed to trying to do it in round 2 and 3? So I still think that there is a chance it's super slim.
Or some people might say, start your vacation earlier rather than later.
Man, no one thinks like that. Here's my thing. Here's my thing. I don't care what's been done in the past. I don't care what the stats may bring up and say. You have to be able to do it when the time comes. And like I said, I'm not going to completely write off LA yet, but it's not really looking too good for him.
All righty. I think it's Slim and none, and Slim just left the building.
Here's the thing: we said that in 2016 when Golden State was up 3-1.
Oh yeah, but the refs got involved and ejected
Here's the thing, a lot of things
ejected
can happen.
Draymond, and anything can happen in a game 7.
And I understand that, but the man still led both teams in every major category. And like we talked about, if everybody else steps their game up, you don't really know what can happen.
Well,
but like I said, that's a lot of ifs. There's a lot of ifs. I get it. I get it. It's a tough road for them, but I'm not going to write them off completely.
All right, don't get it twisted. I love LeBron. I really do, man. What he's doing at age 39, we have never, ever seen in our lifetime. It's almost kind of like what Shohei Ohtani is doing in baseball. We ain't never seen that before. What LeBron James is doing at 39, we ain't never seen that before. To be 39 years old and be one of the top 5 players in all the NBA, we ain't never seen that before. So, I got much love for LeBron. All right, let's move on to our next game. The Miami Heat versus the Boston Celtics, and this is pretty much JV varsity.
Now this is a team that don't got any chance. Like this is now we just got to talk about Denver and LA. I know Coach Spo and the Heat and Jimmy Buckets. I understand that whole mantra. A lot of people don't understand one thing though. This is not the same team that Miami had last year.
It's not.
No, they're missing Max Strus badly. They're missing
Gabe Vincent.
Guard that came off the bench. I
Gabe
can't
Vincent.
remember his name, but he plays for the Lakers right now.
Gabe Vincent.
They miss him badly. And quite honestly, Tyler Hero is now in the mix. And as good as Tyler Hero is, that's another player that's getting minutes that wasn't in the rotation last year. So it's throwing chemistry off. Look, here's the thing. I don't care who Miami starts. I don't care how good they shoot. Just like Kendrick Perkins says, they could go 100% from the field, 100% from the free throw line, 100% from the three-point line, and still lose this series. Get swept in this series. The Celtics are a bona fide lot to make it to the NBA Finals. Bona fide lot. Because they play, like I told you yesterday, organized street ball. And when you got 5 guys constantly that can spread the floor, shoot, play defense, and rebound, the other team's in trouble. So that's my take on it.
Well, that's pretty what my notes are, Troy. The Celtics threes were just too much for the Miami Heat as the Celtics go bomb away with the Heat struggle to score at full strength. And then when you take Jimmy Buckets and Terry Rozier out, with them both out with injuries, this series is a wrap. The Celtics knocked down a playoff-tying 22 threes. Their spacing of the floor was exceptional. And, hey, Tom the Bomb told you guys 2 months ago that Boston and Denver is going to be in the NBA Finals. Everything else, I think we just kind of going through the motions.
Yeah, but it's just you gotta, you live to play the game.
Gotta play the game. You're right,
and
and it's exciting too, man, because like you said, a guy like LeBron can just really, really step it up and take it to another level and pull those guys with him.
Yeah, and but here's the thing, you have to do it first. And it's hard to, here's one thing that I love about what MJ said back in the day. It's easy to talk trash when you're up. The man that can talk when it's tied or when they're down is the one that you need to fear and respect. So it's a lot of things going on. For a lot of series, a lot of guys think like, oh yeah, I don't have a chance against Boston. And I really do think Miami does not have any chance to win the series, to win a game in this series. Right? And, the Lakers are sort of in that boat. You live to play the game. That's why, you got all these professionals. It's just all about how do you show up when this game's on. But regardless, last thing I'll say about Boston is, like I said, they play organized street ball. Everybody can stretch the floor and shoot. And you have to respect that and help defense. As well as they shoot, they can finish at the rim just as efficiently because the rim is wide open. Nobody's going to help off of Al Horford. Nobody's going to sag off of Kristaps Porzingis. Nobody's going to sag off of Jason Tatum. Nobody's going to sag off of Sam Hauser, right? So with all that spacing, like you just said, it makes it, almost a one-on-one situation every time. And this game has turned into a positionless game. So if you're able to stretch the floor and still cover the fundamentals of what's important, you're a tough team to beat.
Hey, let's talk about this real quick. As good as Porzingis looked, how did the Washington Wizards make that trade? And I mean, the way he looks with the Celtics right now, why would the Wizards cut this guy loose? Talk to me about that,
because
Troy.
because the Wizards were never in the Celtics situation to get this type of player out of him. It's as simple as that. Porzingis was arguably a top two option scoring for the Wizards. He's not a top three option scoring for the Celtics,
Which makes him dangerous.
right? So when you got a guy that's 7'3", that can shoot from 25 feet out, that can protect the rim, that can finish at the rim, and he's not even the third option.
Mm-hmm.
It makes it where it's just like, all right, you're going to get a different feel from him. But one thing I say about his stint in Washington compared to here, Washington had to let him go. He wasn't producing in Washington. Every season that he's played, and we watched this yesterday live, he's missed at least 15 games every season that he's played. Mm-hmm. He's missed 25 this year. Mm-hmm. And they're still the number one seed by 15 games over the number two seed. Mm-hmm. So, it's one of them things where Kristaps is just the cherry on top of the cake for them. They really didn't even need Kristaps. But now that they have him, they know how to use him. And because his play style is, look, I'm a spot-up guy. I can post up and turn into Dirk every once in a while, but my game is catch and shoot, offensive rebound, back to the rim, and if you lob it up to me, I'm going to go get it. That's the perfect center for that style of team.
Hey, listen, last question on this. The Celtics should have won this game by 35 or 40 points, but they have a tendency to get big leads and then go to sleep. And even with Miami being shorthanded, they have that where they're just never going to quit. They're going to keep coming. And, they got this game almost inside of 12 points when they should have lost by 30 or 35. So my question is, can anybody in the East take the Celtics with the Celtics having these defensive lows like they go to sleep sometimes?
Yeah, and here's the thing. It's much easier said than done. But, it's a lot of teams that can keep up with them. It's just a matter of will they do it? And I don't think that that's going to happen. The Celtics are 10 men deep, where they got 10 guys. Even if Jason Tatum gets in foul trouble, even if Jaylen Brown gets in foul trouble, even if Al Horford or Sam Hauser or White or Drew Holiday, even if they get in a position where they can't be on the floor, they are built as the next man up system, and that's why I respect them. They're too deep, and if you don't have more than 10 guys that you can rely on your team at this level, you're not going to be able to beat Boston. So as much as I want to say someone has a shot, I don't think that that's going to happen.
What's the team that you think will give the Celtics the best game that's in the East?
A healthy Philly team.
Oh, no. They aren't healthy, so it can't be Philly because they aren't healthy.
Okay. Outside of that, this thing is not Milwaukee. Doc ain't got no chance against his old squad, right? It's not the Pacers. As good as the Pacers are, here's the thing. The Pacers, I would say the Pacers probably have the best opportunity because the Pacers can score 145 points in the game and it not be fluke. They can have 40-plus assists in the game and not be an average run-of-the-mill for them based on their style of play. But you have to play perfect in order for that to happen. And unless you give me, 4 or 5 perfect games in the series, you're not going to beat this team. So nobody. That's my answer.
Okay, let's move on to our next game. Our next game was the Dallas Mavericks versus the LA Clippers, and the Clips prevailed 109-97. Ivica Zubac announced his presence with authority, Troy, in the series opening 109-97 victory over the Mavericks. Zubac was doing the hunting, the bullying in the paint for a playoff career high 20 points and 15 rebounds. He set the tone early in the first quarter as he muscled the Mavs center, Daniel Gafford, on post-ups on consecutive possessions. Check this out. This is what I love. Zubac said, I'm quoting Zubac. Zubac said, I'm going to punish them in the post. I'm going to be big on the boards. I'm going to protect the rim. I'm doing my job. big, physical, and everything else. What do you think about that?
That's what he's supposed to do, and that's the perfect answer in that system that you can give as a center. Here's the thing: the Clippers, we really haven't seen just from a just from like a stat sheet, not stat sheet standpoint, just looking at the roster, we haven't seen a more loaded roster than what the Clippers have in a long time. From a big name standpoint, Russell Westbrook being a six man, he's arguably six man of the year.
You know what? You read my mind. That was one of my questions. How come nobody's considering Russ as six man of the year?
Because he's still producing in a different role. He swallowed his pride and said, for the betterment of the team and for the betterment of my career, I'm going to come in and affect the game in the second unit as opposed to being the number one guy. And when you have James Harden, Paul George, and Kawhi Leonard, that's what you're supposed to do, right? And here's the thing. Russell Westbrook is so unselfish. I love when he was the MVP candidate and he would do the post-game interviews and the reporters would ask Steven Adams a question and he would step in and say, nah, we ain't built like that. We ain't falling for it. Next question. He's so team-oriented. He's going to do what he needs to do to get success from his team. Now, that hasn't really resulted into any rings for him. I don't know if he got a ring for when the Lakers – actually, no, never mind. That's separate. He has no rings, right?
Right.
So he's still searching. But with this team, his role is just the perfect setup for him. But to go back to Zubac, his role is to just do all the dirty work. And for my center, if I know I have 4 bona fide scorers that can give me 15 to 20 points a night easily, that's all I need from you. And that's the only thing that he should have on his mind.
Yeah, but 20 and 15, that's big time producing, Troy.
Oh, without a doubt, and I get that. But like I said, with him being in that garbage man role, that's the best role for him to be in for them to do it. It's just, are you going to be able to hold that mindset and stay consistent enough to do it to get you to the finals? Because just like a lot of teams in the NBA, the Clippers are in a situation where it's either a finals or bust. You don't go get Kawhi Leonard, James Harden, and all these other guys and not expect to at least make it to the NBA Finals. So it's still a lot of work to be done, But if he just continues to have that bully mindset, they'll be in a good position in this series.
If Kawhi comes back and can contribute the way Kawhi can contribute, do they have a chance against the Nuggets?
No. No, because like I said, now it's a matchup game. Here's the thing. When you go up against Jokic it really isn't special from a physical standpoint. Like, he's not the fastest guy on the court. And he's strong and, he's burly, but he's not a Shaq dominant type center. You get what I'm saying? But he's so much smarter than everybody. He puts himself in positions where, all right, if you dare me to shoot this, I'm going to hit it. So you gotta get your hand up. Basketball's a term: hand down, man down. If your hand is down, I am going to shoot it over top of you, right? But if your hand is up and you're playing me tight, my thought process is I want to pass before I score. So you're putting me in a position where, all right, I'm in a win-win no matter what you do. Zubac cannot guard Jokic on the perimeter. He is going to average 40 points against Zubac.
Okay.
So that's why I say they don't have a chance against that.
Can Kyrie and Luka get the Mavericks back into this series?
If Luka drops 40 or 50 and Kyrie plays the Batman role. See, the one thing I don't like about Dallas is they're alternating on who's Batman and who's Robin. 1 minute is Kyrie. Next minute is Luka, which is great when you have 2 guys that can just score at will. That's great. But now that we're talking about a 7-game series, man, I'm going to get hip to whatever you guys are trying to do and, make it harder for you guys to be the problem as opposed to having a role player be a guy that can come in and drop 25. That's how Dallas is going to win. They need someone else to be a scorer, right? But knowing Luka, especially after losing the way he did in Game 1, he's probably going to come out in Game 2 and drop 45, 16 rebounds, and 8 assists. And then we're going to have a whole nother conversation next week talking about, okay, which Mavs team are we getting? Are we getting an MVP Luka? Or are we getting a defensive liability style team in the Dallas Mavericks?
Well, the Beard, like Russell Westbrook, has not won an NBA championship. He looks like he's hungry, and he looked like he's willing to sacrifice his game and do what he can do to get to the championship. What's your thought on the Beard?
Well, he's been doing that all season. The beginning of the year, it was shaky. The reporter came out and said, look, this is it for you. Everybody has done everything in their power to make you happy, and they haven't really got any return of investment, no ROI for you, right? Mm-hmm. So now he is in a position where it's like, all right, I have to be unselfish. I have to play in the betterment of the team. He's not thinking I'm the system anymore. That was probably the dumbest comment he could have ever made out his mouth, saying that I'm the system, and you don't even have a ring. So, I think with him, being that, facilitator, along with that aggressive scorer that's looking to get to the free throw line, that's going to be the James Harden that they need. If James Harden shoots over 10 free throws in the game, the chance of you winning is very slim, because that means that he got somebody in foul trouble, and now you got a guy that's not built for the situation trying to guard either Westbrook, either Harden, Paul George, Kawhi when he comes back healthy. Pick your poison at that point.
All right, let's move on to the next game. Our next game was the Indiana Pacers versus the Milwaukee Bucks, and Lillard puts the Bucks on his back without Giannis. This is what the Bucks envisioned when they made this trade for Damian Lillard. Lillard's 35-point outburst, all in the first half against the Indiana Pacers on Sunday, helped Milwaukee put the game away by halftime and take a 1-0 lead without Giannis. It was important for the Bucks to get this game one victory. What's your thoughts on this game and series?
It was super important, especially like you said, the main thing being Giannis Antetokounmpo wasn't available to play. So this was very reminiscent to playoff game. You know what time it is, where I got to put the Trailblazers on my back. And now that he's in Milwaukee, it's basically the same thing. He just has to be consistent, and you're asking a lot of a guy who really didn't want to be here in the first place to do a lot for you to get you far. Because don't get it twisted. He still wants to be in Miami right now, right? But with that being said, he's a bona fide professional, so he is going to handle his business. But, this is solely on his shoulder. I don't expect anything out of Doc Rivers in Milwaukee. I really don't, because I think that they're going to choke regardless. Giannis, when he comes back, has to be that freak that's just like, you can't ignore the numbers that he's putting up to put him in the MVP conversation. That's what he has to be. And Dame has to look to be selfish and score almost 40 points a night, because without his offensive outbursts, you're not beating Indiana. I love Bobby Portis. I love Chris Middleton, but them letting Drew Holiday go really messed up their identity of who they were. They were a great defensive team, and they let it slip. So now, if you don't put up God-like numbers on offense, 35 points in one half is insane. A lot of people have never scored 30 points as a career high throughout a whole game. The fact that he did that in one half is something. But to ask a man to do that every game, that's a lot. So I still think Indiana's going to win this series.
I thought he was going to score 50, and Dame can score 40 every night. Question, so can Milwaukee win this series without Giannis?
If they do, it's solely because Dame Lillard is the best player in the series. Like I said, in order for that to happen, Dame has to play like this every game. If Dame comes out and goes 4 for 18 from the three-point line, only has 4 free throw attempts, only scores 16 points, that's not going to do it for them. Because then who's going to be the guy that's going to be the closer? Who's going to be the guy that's going to be the one that you look at when you need a bucket? Bobby Portis, as crazy as that guy is, and as fired up as he is, he's not built like that to be the number one option. So, unless Dame, puts up 40 a night, they don't have a chance against, let alone Indiana, anybody else in the series.
All righty, let's move on to the next game. The next game was the Pelicans versus the Thunder, and I thought this was the best game of the week. The Thunder prevailed 94-92. This will not be a typical 1 versus 8 playoff series where you automatically think 1 is going to dominate 8. This will be a dogfight from the beginning to the end. The Pelicans have the best road record in the league. OKC has the best home record in the NBA. The top-seeded Thunder, inexperienced, showed up in the fourth quarter with 6 turnovers in the final 12 minutes, including 3 from MVP finalist Shea Gilgeous-Alexander. The saving grace for the Thunder was that the Pelicans was even more sloppy down the stretch with 7 turnovers, with 5 in a row when they had a chance to seal this game that they lost by 2 points without Zion Williamson. McCollum and Ingram is going to have to show up. The Pelicans went 1 for 7 with 3 turnovers in the final 3 minutes and 9 seconds of the game. What was your take on this one, Troy?
It's a battle of youth. This is where, and it's no knock on Oklahoma City. It's really not. But really, the number 1 seed is the number 2 seed. So you got a team that's here now, but this is the first time that they've been in this situation in a few years as the number 1 top dog, right? So it's just going to be some natural, butterflies in the stomach of just getting over the hype of us being the number 1 seed and then living up to it. The Pelicans have earned their way to this spot. They fight hard, and quite honestly, if Zion don't get hurt against the Lakers, they very well could have beat the Lakers because he was going off against them. So now it's just about, can we get Zion back healthy for this series? And if so, if he does come back, or even if he doesn't, who's going to be that guy? And, the Pelicans, Brandon Ingram, this is his time now. So he has to up his game. And I think if he ups his game, everybody else will follow suit. And they could actually beat OKC in a 7-game series. But with that being said, like I said, because they're very young, it's a toss-up.
I think Ingram is the weakest link. I think he's the one that's going to let him down. Hey, listen, we just got to move on. Hey, let's get to this breaking NBA news. Jonte Porter, let me just start this off by saying, how dumb thou art, how dumb thou art. Breaking NBA news, Jonte Porter throws it all away for $21,956, is banned for life from the NBA for betting on his sport. Porter placed 13 bets on the NBA games using an associate's online betting account, betting against his team, the Raptors, to lose. He has been banned for life. He threw his whole NBA career away for $21,956. That's the amount of money that he made total on the bets that he made. And he blew his whole career for under $22,000. Troy, what's your take on this?
I understand why somebody would want the whole pie if you already got a couple slices. That's my thing. If you already set, what makes you so, money hungry that you put yourself in a situation where you're banned for life? It's a few players that have that, title next to their name, but essentially this is one of the first instances in which we're seeing sports betting get tied into it. And I really feel like with this going on, it's going to lead to more investigations. I guarantee you, he's not the only one that did it. He's probably the only one that got caught, right? But that don't mean that he's the only one that did it. It's going to make it much stricter on, to make bets, and it's going to make it much harder for, guys to, just have no, what's the word I'm looking for? I can't think of it. But anyway, I just think it's dumb overall. Like I said, why try to go for the whole pie when you have a couple slices already? You live and you learn, but this one of them things where, you're not going to be able to recover unless you go overseas or, play in a different league and, look to make money. So whatever God has in store for that young man, hopefully everything works out better for his favor quicker as sooner than later. But, you got to sleep in the bed that you made. You can't be dumb and think that you're not going to get caught up, even betting off of someone else's account. So it is what it is.
His brother Porter Jr. plays for the Denver Nuggets. This is bad for his brother as well. Man, this is the epitome of just poor decision making, and you just wonder, man, I can't believe what's going on with this guy, man. Hey, look, let's move on. We got to move on. Let's get on to the golf. Hey, Scotty Scheffler wins the RBC Heritage, his 4th win in 5 starts. Scheffler's seasons of excellence continued Sunday at the RBC Heritage. He finished it up this morning with a 3-stroke victory, claiming the event's signature tartan jacket to go with his Masters green jacket. He's the first player to win 4 starts in 5 tournaments in 4 tournaments in 5 starts stretch since Tiger Woods did it in 2007 and 2008. He's the first player since Bernard Langer in 1985 to follow up a Masters win with the win the following week. Gary Player did it in 78, and Jimmy Demaret also did it in 1950. Scheffler has won 10 times since February of 2022. Troy, he's the best I've seen since Tiger Woods from a ball striking point of view. But I hate this is happening from a watered down field. From the Masters to today, there's no one really putting any pressure on him. They're missing the competition of the players from the Live Tour. And you say, well, what about the Masters, Tom the Bomb? The Live players were in the Masters. Well, Troy, the winner comes from the last group. Ask yourself this. Who's in the last pairing with Scotty Scheffler? Scheffler pockets a cool $3.6 million for the win. What's your take on this, Troy?
Well, the main thing that you said is the field isn't as deep anymore. When Tiger did it, he went against the top talent every single week. And there's no knock on, the players that didn't transfer over to the Live Tour. But let's not get it mistaken. Bryson DeChambeau is still Bryson DeChambeau. Other guys that made, hate on Brooks Koepka if you want to, but just last year he was in contention for the Masters, So, it's guys that have game that play in a different tour, and they're just not playing in the same events every week. It's just when they put up the stats against it, it doesn't have all that explanation as to saying, okay, well, Scotty still won, So I'm not going to take away from what Scotty's doing because this has been the most dominant I've seen a golfer, like you said, since Tiger. John Rahm looked like he had some stints of excellence going on like a year or two ago, and then he kind of started to decline. So Scotty's just doing what he's supposed to do every week. Living up to the hype, and it's good to see like a predictable winner every week now, just like what we saw growing up. Well, just like I saw growing up watching Tiger Woods. So, kudos to Scotty.
Believe it or not, there's actually a golfer that's hotter than Scotty Scheffler, and it's Nelly Korda. Nelly Korda wins her 5th consecutive title at the Chevron Championship. Nelly Korda wins her 2nd major. A fully healthy Korda is seemingly unstoppable, just like Scheffler. She's the world's #1 player. She hasn't lost since January. Korda has etched her name in the LPGA Tour Records book, joining women golf royalty Nancy Lopez, who did it in 1978, and Annika Sorenstam did it in 2004-2005, as the only players to win 5 consecutive LPGA events. Korda shot a 369 and had a 4-day total of 13 under at 275 at the Carlton Woods Golf Course. Korda takes home a cool $1.2 million for 4 days of work. Scotty Scheffler takes home $3.6 million for 4 days of work. Korda has won over $11 million in her career. Get your kids out playing golf. Get your kids out playing golf. Hey, we got the NHL playoffs 2024. We got my main man Felix Bassi on the line. Felix, tell us about the Rangers over the Capitals.
Well, what I have to say for this game is, for the most part, if you're just looking at the score, it looks like the Rangers were dominating throughout. But quite frankly, this game was really close for most of it. It's just that the Rangers scored 3 points within 2 minutes and 30 seconds, and really that pretty much sealed the deal. But I want to go a step further than that. I just thought the Capitals' offense, it just looked like they weren't even trying to get the puck within the offensive zone. You look at the average shot distance, 48 feet away from the net. The average shot that the Capitals attempted average was 48 feet away from the net. And before that, in the first period, the average was higher than that, 51 feet, and one shot was as far away as 71. If you talk about trying to win a hockey game, especially at the playoff level against the NHL's best, you're going to have to put your best plays forward. You're going to have to put your best plays. And if you're going to take a shot that far, the only way you do that, the only way, is if you have your team sniper in position, wide open. You're talking about Ovechkin and, to some extent, John Carlson making such a shot. But that is just not the default for any hockey team ever. So just seeing that overall, it's just the type of hockey I've been seeing from the Capitals in recent years, just very sloppy, not setting up plays. And I think I could say the same for the Rangers for most of the game, too. Well, with the obvious exclusion of the 2 minutes and 30 seconds in which it took them to score the 3 points. But really, again, the Capitals are not maintaining offensive possession, and it's very difficult to watch. This is just something I've been meaning to say from the start of the hockey season. It's as if they're just passing the puck around. The average offensive possession is about 10 seconds. Then the other team has the puck, and the other team, it's like you're not really watching any sort of structure. And even if you can make the argument that hockey is a low-scoring sport or whatever, at the very least, I would watch it to see what the offenses could do, how long you can keep the puck in the offensive zone, what kind of plays you can do, what kind of high-danger shots on goal you can make. And if you don't even have that going, like I said, it just makes it a very difficult product to watch. And more importantly, it's just all around, it's just bad strategy. It's just not ineffective offense on the behalf of the Capitals.
Hey, Felix, we know the Caps really kind of backdoored their way into the playoffs. What about the Rangers? Can the Rangers make a run in the Stanley Cup for the Stanley Cup this year?
Well, I'll say this: the Rangers are the number one ranked team in the NHL. They won the most points, but also we should note that that's not necessarily indicative of playoff success, as we saw last year's. And the team that has the most wins are given the President's Trophy. So we saw last year's President's Trophy winner go out in the first round. And I'm thinking objectively, of course, not basing this off of superstition or past stats, but I think based on team dynamics, the Rangers, I honestly don't think that they win the Cup. Like in terms of winning the East, that's a possibility. But I'd only say that if Toronto gets knocked out by Boston, which it looks like the likely that'll happen. And I'd only say that if Florida, by some off chance, they get knocked out by Tampa. So that's what I say. Like I say, if two teams get eliminated, I think the Rangers would have a clear path to go into the finals. Do they win? I'm not sure about that because I'm looking at the West. The West is more competitive than I can ever remember it being. You're looking at Colorado. They have good depth aside from, you have the starting lineup with McKinnon and Makar. Then you have the depth below that. And even Winnipeg, they had a great season. I still managed to underestimate them. They put up a 7-goal showing against the Colorado Avalanche that I was just talking about. But I will say this, though. If the team that they're if the Rangers make it to the finals and the team that they're facing is not Winnipeg, Colorado, or Edmonton, I think that they can take it. That's really my take. And that might be too bold of a statement because I think that statement underestimates Vegas and to an extent Dallas as well.
Okay, well, look, we look to have you back for the rest of the NHL playoffs. We definitely want to have you in. Hey, let's move on. We got to wrap up the show. Hey, listen, real quick, Shohei Ohtani has been cleared of all wrongdoings by Major League Baseball. Man, this is so funny, and this is like everybody knows. I looked at an article today, Troy and Felix, and basically it was one of the Dodgers players, Troy Glasgow, the pitcher, and he was saying, we all knew that Epi was up to something fishy. So here's my thing. If the other players on the Dodgers team thought that this guy was up to something fishy, how is it that Shohei doesn't know that $16 million is now missing from my account and he's been cleared of all wrongdoings? Felix, Troy, we know what's going on here, right?
Yeah.
But
one of the
listen,
things where it's like, look, if it's understood and don't got to be explained, man, he's going to play numb to protect his image. But, because that can't be proven, you got to be careful about how you report it. But, Ray Charles can see what's going on, man.
Major League Baseball is not going to cut their own throat. They are not going to kill the golden goose or the fatted calf. And we're going to leave that at there. Hey, listen, we had a big fight over the weekend. Mr. Devin Haney versus Ryan Garcia. Troy, I'm going to let you go so I can talk to Coy.
All right.
We had a big fight this weekend. Mr. Devin Haney versus Ryan Garcia. And Ryan Garcia pulled the upset. And we have comedian Coy on the line to talk to us about the big fight. Coy, you there?
I sure am. Yes, indeed.
We got a full day of sports today, baby. We getting it all in.
We're getting it all in. That's right. You can't ignore the incredible, shocking knockout by Ryan Garcia. He always said he's the king. Well, look, after this weekend, knocking out the champion Devin Haney, he is now definitely crowned King Ryan Garcia. What an incredible fight. No one expected it. Those who are following this fight, Ryan Garcia was all over social media talking crazy, talking insanity things. I mean, things that an average professional boxer would never say. We wasn't sure who was going to show up in that ring. And it was a great concern whether or not he was even going to show up. That's how mentally disabled he seemed to be. But he shocked everyone, Tom. He shocked everyone. He knocked out Devin Haney, the champion, over 3 times. And those are just the ones that I counted, with which the referee tried to save him. And I that's my opinion. But he tried to save Devin Haney a couple of times. So it's almost like the Woodsy Owl. How many times does it take for Devin Haney to get knocked out? Let's see. A 1, a 2, a 3.
Listen, did he overlook him? Did he overlook Garcia? Did he take him light?
You know what? That's the question. There's so many questions surrounding Devin Haney. You know, I think maybe they did not prepare for the speed and the power that Ryan Garcia possessed. I mean, they knew that he had this one left hook that seemed to knock everyone out. And he even said it in a press conference that that's the only thing that he has. That's the only weapon. He's a one-trick pony.
He got beat by a one-trick pony.
Took him out. He couldn't get underneath that hook, and he got knocked out quite a few times. It was embarrassing. It was humiliating. And to the point where it was like, wow, no one had ever expected it. Those who had walked away with a lot of money.
You know, when anytime you're the underdog and you're going against the champ, you really, really want to be more aggressive. Did you see Garcia being that much more aggressive than Devin Haney in this one?
Oh, absolutely. He was very aggressive in spurts. And I would tell everyone that I talked to, I said, look, he's going to reset when he comes back in. He's going to reset. And he did. He went back in spurts. And now let me say this. There was such a strong energy behind the scenes. And when I say behind the scenes, before they did the walkout, Ryan Garcia said, I am going to assassinate him. I'm not going to leave that boxing ring without his head. And he meant every bit of it. So, yeah, when you're coming with that mentality, that is all but extra aggression. And I did not see that same aggression through Devin Haney. I didn't.
What's that old great saying from that great poet? Everybody's got a plan until they get punched in the mouth, right?
Exactly.
That great poet, Mike Tyson. So what do you see in the future with this? We got to have a rematch, don't you think?
Absolutely. They said they would run it back. Even though Ryan Garcia was drinking beer during the weigh-in, as I said, he was like crazy stuff. He couldn't get the belts. So the belts are not on the line. So Devin still has possession of the belts, but he said he would give him a rematch. So we'll see. We'll see if there's going to be a rematch, or we'll see if Ryan Garcia is going to move up and fight someone else, or stay in that weight class and give him a rematch. We'll see.
All right. You'll keep us posted on it, right, Coy?
Absolutely, Tom.
All righty, mate. Thanks for calling in. I appreciate you.
Yep.
Hey, guys, that's our show for today. Like I said, we covered a lot. Hey, look, for a dynamic, in-depth analysis and highlights of the Washington football team and DC sports and more, check out the Washington Sports Den Thursdays at 2 p.m. on WBGR with my main man, Felix Bassey. Hey, man, time flies when you're having fun. We're out of time here, but we sure do thank you for spending your time with us. Listen, may the gates of heaven open and pour an abundance of blessings down on you where there won't be room enough to contain it. Remember, if you want it, you can confess it with your mouth and believe it in your heart that Jesus died on the cross and that he rose on the third day, not a Thursday, just for you. Remember, darkness cannot drive out darkness. Only light can do that. And hate cannot drive out hate. Only love can do that. God bless you. We'll see you on this same bat time on this same bat station. God bless you. Thank you guys for watching. I appreciate you guys. Have a good evening. Tom the Bomb out.
I'm about to blow up. I'm the bomb and about to blow up. Whoa. I'm the bomb and about to blow up. I'm the bomb and about to blow up.
Sports is what we do. It's the fast track at peak speed, moving across the ice, blockers, hitters, B-team, beatdowns, and knockouts, doubleheaders, playoffs, touchdowns, smackdowns, on the mat or on the track. The spirit of a champion. The triple-double. Make that double front flip. This is what we do.
Talking Windows with Harley and Aaron and special guest Mina.
As a business owner, I only partner with the best.
That's definitely Window Nation.
And experience matters, Harley.
Well, Mina,